Hello, dear one, and welcome to our evening class on cultivating safety in the body. This will be a slower, restorative flow where we'll hold our poses for a longer period, approximately around 10 full breaths. If you'd like, you can gather supportive tools such as extra blankets, cushions, or a bolster. I'm going to have 2 blankets and 1 bolster with me so I can feel extra supported in this session. If you need to pause this video and gather your supports, please do so. I'll place 1 blanket over my mat and leave my other resources within my reach for later. We'll begin our class with a foot stretch. If it's more available to you to stay with your glutes rested on your heels, that is okay. You can place a bolster or cushion under your hips for extra comfort. If not, feel free to join me in placing our toes on the ground and resting our hips on our raised heels. We'll simply allow our breath to find its natural rhythm. By tuning deeper into both feeling, emotion, and sensation in a non-judgmental place, we can expand our capacity to heal and our capacity to experientially know what it is to be safe here within. Whenever you're ready, you can join me by sliding your hips to the back of the mat and releasing your upper body to the ground in child's pose. Staying here for 10 full breaths. A lot of building safety in our bodies post-trauma comes from reconnecting with our body's yes, no, maybe system. This helps us make decisions that soothe our nervous system, sparking an internal sense of trust through constant attunement. As you are ready, we can crawl our arms to one side of our body and find a point to rest for another 10 full breaths. We can attune by exploring how our decisions impact our nervous system. Which environments, relationships, choices in our lives allow for our heart to feel at rest, our bodies to relax, Which decisions, which relationships, which environments cause us to tense, to freeze, or even disconnect? On our next inhale, returning to the center briefly before crawling our arms to the opposite side. Noticing and not judging what emotions are arising, the impact of your thoughts on your body. By not judging, we have the opportunity to be in conscious relationship to it. Here we access our power, our choice, with how we wish to address it. I'll invite you to join me in releasing this pose fully, rising up, and if you used a cushion, moving it to the side for later. As you're ready, we can place our front body fully to the ground, placing our hands under our shoulders and resting our head on the ground for a few breaths. On your next inhale, I'll invite you to join me in resting your forearms on the ground and lifting your chest and head up. On our exhale, we'll return and surrender to the ground, simply breathing here. Rising up 2 more times, seeing if we can drop our shoulders down and back. And release, perhaps placing our hands under our forehead. Final inhale up. And fully release to the ground. If you'd like, you can join me in a brief child's pose before we prepare for pigeon. Raising our hips into downward facing dog, we'll draw our left knee to our left elbow and slide it to the ground as we released our body to the ground. allowing our breath to settle us into this moment. Seeing if we can attune to if your body needs you to shift, to lean in, to let go. Knowing that responding to your body's needs strengthens your internal trust system. On our next inhale, we'll crawl our upper body up, lifting our shoulders down and back, fully breathing into this pose. Knowing it is always available to you to ask yourself, what do I need in this moment to connect to my inner and outer sense of safety? And as you're ready, we'll release this pose. And lean back into a child's pose. As we go into downward facing dog, guiding our right knee to our right elbow before guiding it to the ground to rest. Perhaps using our hands as a cushion for our forehead. Simply resting here for 10 full breaths. And as you're ready, guiding our shoulders and chest up and back with an open and strong heart. Leaning back into our final child's pose. Preparing for our final poses, you can gather a cushion, bolster, or folded blanket to place between your knees. I'll invite you to slowly lower your back body onto the ground, adjusting your supports as needed. If it's available to you, see if you can tuck your pelvis in, closing any gap between the ground and your lower back before raising your legs into a tabletop position. Whenever you're ready, you can join me in turning your 90-degree angled legs to the right side of the room as we turn our upper body to the left. Letting each breath deepen our presence in this pose, in this body, in this moment. On your next inhale, I'll invite you to return to center before turning to the opposite side. Perhaps asking what you need to create a calm, receptive, and present internal state in this moment. As we exhale and release this pose, let us fold our upper body against our legs, finding a comfortable position for our arms to rest. I'll rest mine on my feet, but you can also place yours on your knees, on your ankles. Breathing here for a couple of breaths before we prepare for Shavasana. If you'd like, you can place the bolster below your knees as you extend your legs forward. If you have an extra blanket, you can place yours on top of your body if you find that comforting and supportive. Settling into this moment with yourself, with nothing to do, nowhere to go, and no one to become. Simply here, simply now, simply you. I'm going to begin to wrap up this class, but remember that you can stay in this pose as long as you'd like. If you're joining me, I'll invite you to turn to one side of your body, resting in this position for a moment, and just noticing what it feels like to rest after a period of movement. And as you're ready, we can slowly raise our bodies up and at a pace that feels right, finding ourselves in a cross-legged position. Thank you, dear one, for joining me in this trauma-informed class. As a fellow survivor, I will offer you this. The safer we feel, the deeper we can trust. The deeper we trust, the more open our hearts can be. The more open our hearts, the more easeful love can flow within and beyond us. May love flow with ease through you and to the world. Om Shanti.